The third episode of Star Trek Discovery Season 3 is here, with it an entirely different planet Earth it seems, but we're also treated to Commander Burnham beaming back aboard the Discovery. Hello everyone, my name is Captain Jack and welcome to Trek Central. The third episode of Star Trek Discovery Season 3 is titled People of Earth, with being written by Bo Yeon Kim and Erica Lindenholt. Mr. Star Trek himself, that's Jonathan Frakes, has returned to direct this episode. In case you're wondering where to watch this season, then don't worry, we've got you covered. Episode 3 of the third season of Discovery is online and watchable right now via CBS All Access and CTV Sci-Fi, but it will be available internationally on October 30th via Netflix. If you're watching via Crave, it's also available tomorrow, October 30th. So heads up, if you've not seen this episode yet, spoilers will be in this review, you have been warned. To keep up to date with our Star Trek Discovery Season 3 reviews and related videos such as our news and theories, make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video. We're also streaming live on every Sunday at 9 PM GMT to discuss our thoughts, and we invite you to come along. Hope to see you there. Alright, let's explore the future. We start this episode with Michael Burnham on Mr. Sahil's Federation relay station. Michael is sending a message to the Discovery about the burn. 700 years after they left, dilithium started to dry up and the Federation tried alternative warp designs to accommodate for this. With regards to this, it depends on if the dilithium is still required in other power generation methods like the Romulan's quantum singularity drives. I do hope this is brought up at some point. It seems like benamite was also drying up due to Book's comments in the first episode. Benamite being is what is required for the quantum slipstream mode of travel. Now the burn event is actually when all dilithium in known space went suddenly inert, which then made all active warp cores detonate, as the dilithium can no longer regulate their mixing. In this scene we see 7 different types of brand new futuristic starships, and within an instant they blow up. Some of these designs are really cool and way out there, but still share some very similarities with Starfleet look of the tuna cells and a saucer. There's one which looks like a futuristic Xindi reptilian ship, which I'm very interested in. I mean, I love Star Trek Enterprise, so why not? While we sadly don't get a good look at these ships, I'm hoping we might be able to see more of them when we actually meet with the actual Starfleet and the remnants of the Federation later on in Season 3, like we know we will. It seems like the Federation disappeared after this event. We learned that later in the episode a little bit more about it. Commander Burnham has become a courier, and she's been searching for clues about the burn as well as seeing the Discovery itself. We actually see Burnham picking up a code cylinder of something from someone. Burnham has been in this future for at least a year, something we learned at the very end of last episode thanks to a rescuing Discovery. She actually has a cool little shuttle, which seems to have deployable wings. It's kind of very interesting, maybe it fits and works a Book's ship, I'm not sure. Now of course she hasn't been alone and isolated in this strange new frontier the whole time, as she's had Book. I definitely expect their relationship to develop into something else in the future, and I'm sort of okay with it. It seems more natural, especially in this episode, than Burnham's previous relationship with Ash Tyler. Finally, after a year apart from the crew, Burnham beams aboard the Discovery and is surrounded by the crew and her friends, who for them it's just been a day, but for her it's been well over a year. Time travel is crazy, While Burnham updates Saru and talks to them about what she experiences, she mentions that her mum, Dr. Gabrielle Burnham, did not return to Terrelysium. We also learned that their current position is too far away from Earth to get there, so I wonder what quadrant of the galaxy they find themselves in. Burnham says the message from Terrelysium took some months to reach them, so I'd assume they find themselves in the Beta Quadrant currently. Commander Burnham seems to have picked up a transmission from a Starfleet Admiral, Tal, who is waiting on Earth, but this transmission was from 12 years ago. This seems to be the next clue the Discovery is to follow, returning to Earth and find Miss Admiral Tal, who is associated with Starfleet and the Federation. While on the bridge of the Discovery, we get this great scene between Saru and Burnham. Saru wants to speak to Burnham about who will take command of the Discovery, as they are both the rank of commander. But as Burnham politely says, Saru is the best person to be captain, and it's always been him. Saru has shown how competent he is and is the best for being captain of Discovery. While yes, Michael Burnham potentially could have made a good commanding officer, I think Saru's deserve a chair more. An interesting scene, we see Ensign Tilly putting badges on a bulkhead. It seems to be some sort of memorial wall of all of these they've lost along the way. I do wonder if these are all the casualties Discovery lost in its entire voyage, as their cadet badges on the wall, with perhaps those cadets being lost in Season 1 during war when cadets did serve on the Discovery. Jojo is basically checking up on the friends Burnham has made in the near future by teleporting Booker onto the Discovery. I get a very parental vibe from Jojo, in a very weird sense in a way. She definitely cares for Michael Burnham, even though it isn't actually her Burnham, if that makes sense. Now, the dilithium stores on board the Discovery are transferred to Book's ship to keep them safe from any dilithium raiders from detecting it. We know the Nautilus has a cloaking device and a giant fat cat, so I mean, it's well protected and certainly disguised. Priming the spore drive and getting Commander Stamets ready, the Discovery proceeds to spore jump to Earth, where we find a satellite array in orbit that they can generate a planetary field around the actual planet of Earth. There's also a new class of ships, very interesting designs orbiting the planet, which jump into action immediately upon the Discovery's arrival of orbiting of Earth. Captain Ndoye of the United Earth Defense Force, the government of Earth was still the United Earth even when Earth was in the Federation. So once the Federation left, the sole government of the planet would be the United Earth, which is cool. It's also referred to the United Earth Government, so the UEG at one point. Ndoye believes the ship to be a ruse of raiders to attack the planet. As she says, I find it quite odd that your 23rd century ship is still in service. And yeah, we do too. But I wonder why we see Harafa ships in some trailers. But oh well, at least this is talked about in the dialogue. And here we ultimately have it, the United Earth Defense Forces boarding the Discovery. We get our first new look at the new character Adira. What's quite funny is during this whole boarding sequence, Book has to put on a uniform and temporarily becomes Lieutenant Booker as to not raise the suspicions of the United Earth boarding party. I have to say, I really like the interaction between Booker and Burnham, with Burnham even mocking how Book calls his cat a queen. God, she's a queen, I mean come on now, everyone knows this. Now one little detail I actually did kind of laugh at in this was another nice little character moment that is a disguise herself. Jojo puts herself in an admiral's uniform. And yeah, she still feels like the rank is right for her. I mean, would you argue with Jojo being an admiral? I don't think this is the last we've seen of her in the admiral's uniform as well, as in the trailer she had one line going, "This looks like it'll be fun." So this looks like it'll occur at a later date as well. Thanks to Captain Ndoye, we learned that the Federation and Starfleet haven't been on Earth for a long time, leaving after the burn as to not endanger the planet. Earth became self-sufficient, but is under attack from dilithium raiders, hence why their security protocols are so strict. The Admiral who the Discovery was looking for, Admiral Tal, apparently died 2 years ago via an outbound transport, but its location is not recorded. We seem to have hit a dead end in the search for this Admiral. While this is going down, a band of raiders approach Earth, led by someone named Wen. He looks very evil on the view screen, but it turns out Wen is more interested in the fact that Discovery just appeared out of the system and didn't warp in, obviously detecting their spore drive jump or being confused on how they suddenly got there. Book and Commander Burnham defy orders and head back to the Nautilus to deal with Wen, as the Discovery is too outdated to deal with them, with 2 torpedoes draining the entirety of their hull and dealing damage to the bridge. Apparently Book and Burnham have been in many situations like this, and having different tactics to deal with the raiders, eventually leading them to capture Wen and give him back to Captain Ndoye. I hope we get to see more of Burnham and Booker's adventures over this year, as this episode's entry did a good idea of wrapping it up and showing what they've been up to in some capacity. However, it certainly seems like they've been up to quite a lot for that year, so maybe at some point we'll see more flashback sequences where Burnham and Book will be shown gallivanting around the galaxy. One can wish. While the negotiation between Captain Ndoye and Wen is happening, we get a very nice scene between Adira and Paul Stamets. Stamets is apparently trusting of Adira and tells them all about the spore drive and where the Discovery is actually from, the past. It's kind of weird that Suru didn't give the entire ship its orders last episode of not telling this feature where they are from, but Stamets wasn't in that meeting, so it kind of makes sense that he'd let it slip. Now our trail for Admiral Tal is reignited when we learn that Adira knew Admiral Tal, somehow. This is later revealed to be a bit more complicated in a minute. Now during the negotiation between United Earth and Wen, it's revealed that he's actually human, and lives on a research outpost on Titan. Their attempts to get help from United Earth after one of their habitats blew up was destroyed, so they decided to attack to get what they wanted. Typical human response it seems. Captain Saru, that's going to take some getting used to, and Commander Burnham in true Starfleet style managed to repair the bridge, and get Ndoye and Wen talking and to assist each other. This felt very Enterprise in style. Kylo and Archer got the Tellarites and Andorians to sit down and talk, no matter how much they actually hated each other or how much they didn't actually want to talk to each other. It's later revealed Adira wished to stay aboard the Discovery, which Captain Ndoye approves of, after while Saru and Burnham negotiated peace. Following this, we learn that Adira is a human yet has a Trill symbiote. Perhaps medical science has advanced far enough in the 700 years since DS9 where Trill symbionts could survive in long periods of time with a human host. However, it seems there are still issues with a Trill symbiote being in a human host, as Adira cannot access the symbiote's memories. Perhaps next episode will have us visiting Trill to get help Adira needs to access these memories. We might even meet Grey next episode, another new character who's played by Ian Alexander. However, talking about this at the moment, lore discrepancy with a Trill symbiote managed to stay within Adira these past 2 years. One nice little bit of continuity is Saru and Burnham not knowing about the symbionts. The symbionts were only learned about during the Next Generation era in 2367. This little continuity makes me think that the Trill symbiote managed to stay within Adira after this long period of time will eventually be explained. That's a bit of a mouthful there. As we close out this episode, Captain Sue seems to be setting up his ready room, as he moves the late Captain Philippa Georgiou's telescope into his room. He also seems to set up a long table with the room as well. Not as cool as Pike's Mojave lightning tree table, but something I think we'll see the bridge crew having dinner on later during the season. Book eventually leaves Discovery on his ship, but that won't be the last time we see him. And finally, as Captain Sue and Burnham stand on the bridge of Discovery, the rest of the bridge crew get to spend some quality time on Earth, under a tree on the grounds of a former Starfleet Academy. So that's kind of our recap of this episode. Well, how did you find this episode? We personally loved it and had a lot of good things going for it. Overall, I describe this episode as very Star Trek in a way. The music for episode 3 is stunning, which is crazy considering how they recorded the music for each instrument, playing it separately and composing, and other music techs composing in some beautiful pieces of music. The soundtrack certainly complemented a lot of the scenes, especially the emotional ones in this episode. Just like episode 2 of this new season, it felt like we're getting way more little scenes with other crew members of the ship. The third season is seemingly finding a balance between the story, Burnham, and other characters of the show, and even having Burnham herself being comfortable staying on the bridge with Saru and the other bridge crew goes down to Starfleet Academy. This kind of shows us even more. Finally, after a little bit of turmoil and being left hanging, Saru is made the permanent captain of the USS Discovery. Let's be honest, we all knew he deserved it anyway, but the scene between himself and Commander Burnham was a little touching. Her reluctance to take command herself did leave Saru on edge, but he gracefully accepted the captain's chair. Therefore, I hope we meet the actual Federation Starfleet. They respect this when it's actually revealed. While discussing this episode with the Trek Central team, I personally found that Commander Burnham and Captain Sue have almost come full circle in a way. Certainly the scene with both of them touching the late Captain Philippa Georgiou's antique telescope showed us as viewers how far both characters have come since the first episode of the show itself. Now looking further into the episode, the fact Starfleet and the Federation have somewhat packed their bags and left Earth is a rather daunting reality when you think about it. We're not almost looking at Earth as it was in Star Trek Enterprise, not a part of a Federation, but on its own within the galaxy, alone and isolated, yet still protected. The third season is certainly doing a good job of not giving away all the answers to our burning questions right away. See what I did there? If handled correctly, this can play out and treat us as viewers very well. We'll have to wait and see though. I'm not sure when we'll meet the Federation or Starfleet again, but hopefully it's not too long away. Episode 4 comes up next week, and I have a feeling we're going to be meeting with Trills based off a little trailer, but we'll be breaking down that next week and making our predictions, so stay tuned for that. That is the end of our review for Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 3. Please do share your thoughts on this episode with us via the video comment section below. Of course, you're welcome to come and discuss the episode live with us this Sunday here on YouTube at 9 PM GMT. Tune into our Trek Central weekly live streams to share your thoughts. I do hope to see you there. If you're new around here and want to keep up to date with the latest Star Trek news and information, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You of course can follow our social media for the latest updates on the Star Trek universe. All links are available in the video description. For now, I've been Captain Jack, and I'll be back with another episode of you this time next week. In the meantime, live long and prosper, my friends.